Started. Everyone can hear me okay, I presume? Very good. Okay, my name is Patrick Endler, part of the design team working with the school district. I will kick this off this evening. With me is Sam Steiner, one of our site designers who will be assisting in some of the site analysis slides that we'll be reviewing. So tonight we're going to review the sites that the school district has asked us to take a look at. That includes a couple of sites that were eliminated fairly early in the process since January, so we'll touch on those quickly to give you a sense of what those were about and why they were eliminated from the list. Then we'll give some conceptual designs of 4 of the sites that that we believe are still under consideration. One of those 4, the last one shown on the list in front of you, includes the Pagnotti site in the Plains that was from the original feasibility study back in 2014. Then we have a review of the budget numbers comparing those 4 sites in a side-by-side manner so that they can be looked at a glance.
I'm just going to start here with a map showing the district boundary and the 6 sites where they fall within the district boundary, 5 of which are located in Plains Township, and then we have the 1 site located in Wilkes Township. So we'll touch on some reasons of why 2 of the sites were eliminated. So this is the Pagnotti site. I don't know if you guys can read that text, but it's at the corner of River and Sailor Ave, 38-acre parcel. The light blue that you see there, that's the floodplain. We cannot put a building in the floodplain, no parking in the floodplain, and most likely no fields in the floodplain. That red line you see on the site is a gas line, 24-inch gas line that runs under the property. There's an easement on top of that, utility easement. Limits what you can build on the site. In reality, we could cross it with a driveway, but that's about it. Once again, no building, no parking, no fields, and kind of how it's laid in the site there pretty much wipes out everything to the right of the site as well. That bluish, greenish patch you see is a wetland, and we actually believe there's more wetlands on the site as well as a pond on the site. So that limits where you can build as well. And we also know that this site has been undermined. So for these reasons, and of course others, this site was eliminated. Flipping next to the Popple site, you see 115 runs to the south there. 7 tubs, the nature area would be to your left. And up above to the north, outlined in red, is a business park. A lot of guys think of buildings up there. 98-acre parcel. Once again, a large amount of wetlands on the site. Does wipe out some developable area. It also has another utility easement. This time it's a power line. There's a 150-foot easement on the power line. We can cross it with a driveway, but again, no building and no parking under the power line. This site is also extremely steep. Grade changes in elevation of 200 feet or more. It makes building difficult. It certainly can be done. You'd have to actually terrace the land, step the land. I don't know if everybody's familiar with like the Wegmans, Walmart type setup out there. They terrace the land, so it certainly can be accommodated. It is a little costly, but it certainly can be done. The one problem with this site, though, is we feel there's a large amount of rock on the site, so terracing the site would be even more difficult. You'd have to blast the rock. Once again, it certainly can be done, but it is a little costly. Utilities are also an issue on this site. We got to get utilities to this site, gas, water, and sewer. And they're actually about a mile away, not quite a mile, in the business park. utilities, yeah, so they're located in the business park to the north there, so we're gonna have to extend utility lines almost a mile. That becomes a little costly, especially since if the district were to purchase this parcel, they would not own the land between that parcel and where they'd have to get utilities, so you're looking at utility easements there. And then another major concern for this site was actually site access. You can see there that the parcel only touches 115 at that location where Pat has it red. You know, everybody probably traveled 115 quite a bit. You know, it's a pretty quick road, steep as well, and there's actually a truck runaway ramp just a couple hundred feet away. So for these reasons, and of course others, this site was eliminated as well. Okay, so 4 sites are remaining. We did throw some conceptual designs on them. This is the Geisinger site. Everybody, Geisinger, Weather Valley to the right there, then we get Botec to the north, and then 81 runs right by the site. 60-acre parcel. My graphics, the graphics stay the same from site to site, so you're going to see similar graphics on the next 3 sites. We have the building there in yellow, and that remains the same size from site to site, just the building pad. Accommodate the building, stairs, stuff like that around the building itself. Parking, designate about 10 to 12 acres for parking per the zoning ordinance. We need about 850 stalls, so that remains consistent from site to site, as well as each site we were able to accommodate a football stadium as well as a baseball diamond, so they will show up on each site as well. And the number of fields there, those rectangular green areas, are just placeholder fields. It could be soccer, it could be lacrosse, practice football, whatever they need to be. We just wanted to show how many fields could possibly fit on each site. They do vary from site to site. So on this site here, this site is also relatively steep, though not near as steep as the last site we looked at. We probably were not going to have the rock problem either. So you'd have to terrace this site, which isn't too big of a deal, especially since it's not quite as steep as the last site we looked at. It actually lays out pretty nicely with the building at the highest point of the site. We'll be overlooking the parking and the fields. We actually think the building will be set up high enough that you'd easily be able to see over 81. Have some pretty nice views. Utilities are right next to the site there on East Mountain Boulevard, so there would be no problem to tap into those. Unfortunately, though, this site has been mined, strip mined, and undermined. Not uncommon for the valley, as you all know, and you know, we just got to beef up the foundation a little bit, and that cost will be reflected in our cost estimate. Slides to follow. This is the Popple DCNR swap site. Let's see, you got 115. Actually, the old Popple site was just to the south, just off the screen. That business park is just up to the north there, Baltimore Drive. About a 95-acre parcel. This site is a little more flat than the last site we looked at. There's about a 40-acre area on top where I have the building and the parking. That is relatively flat. Reduces the amount of grading we need, and easy to accommodate the building and parking. Unfortunately, when you have flat areas out in the woods, water does tend to collect. Those yellow areas that you see there are wetlands, pretty big wetland complexes that are pretty high quality. You're not going to be able to move them or build on them. Utilities. Utilities are available in the business park there at Baltimore Drive. Unfortunately, though, if the district were to purchase this parcel, they would not have direct access to those utilities. They would have to get some type of a utility easement across the neighboring parcel in order to access those utilities, about 600 feet in length. Same thing for access. I know from this 2D plan view, it looks like you may be able to access the site from 115, but that's not possible. There's a big rock cut there, very steep. It's on a turn, and of course it's divided highway at that point, so you cannot access it there. So the only way to access it is through the business park on Baltimore Drive. As you see, we have a road drawn in there right now. So once again, that's some type of utility or some type of an easement from the adjoining property owner, or just outright purchase of the parcel. So moving on to the next. This is what we are calling the Kmart site, Pagnani /Kmart site. We got 81 running beside it. Blackman Street there terminates on the boulevard, and Kmart is actually, the Kmart complex is just to the north there, just out of the picture. It's an 80-acre site. This site is quite a bit flatter than the last sites we've been looking at, so you can see able to accommodate a decent amount more fields. Utilities, we'd have to extend utilities a couple hundred feet, but that would happen underneath public right-of-way, underneath Johnson Street, therefore no need to purchase or obtain easements from private property owners. This site as well has been mined, strip mined, and undermined, and the two red dots you see there are shafts that remain on the site and would have to be mitigated. And there is also a haul road going back to Allen Industries that would have to be at least dealt with when negotiating this parcel. And flipping to the last site, this is the original Pagnotti site from the 2014 feasibility study. Show you on the route, Cross Valley to the south, Solomon Complex to the north there, and then Hollenbach to the right. Once again, about an 80-acre parcel. This site is by far the flattest of all sites you can tell. We're able to accommodate a large amount of field on this site. Utilities, much the same as the Kmart site. They have to be extended just a couple hundred feet, but could be done within public right-of-way. So no real issue there. Again, this site has been stripped and undermined, so there's going to be some additional foundation work needed to accommodate the building. And the one thing this site does have, especially compared to the other sites, is two access points on two different roads. You're able to access on the Maffett there, and you can get right on the Cross Valley, and then on Main Street, there's the second entrance point there. So with that, I'll turn it over to Pat.
Thanks. So taking those four sites that we just went through, try to summarize a lot of the features and benefits of all of them in a side-by-side sort of manner with a red light, green light sort of identity to make it easy to look at from a very high level. So across the top, the four sites, the Geisinger site, the Kmart area site, the DCNR site, and then finally the original Pagnotti site from the 2014 study. And then down the left, a variety of items that we thought were important for the board and everyone to consider in comparing the four sites. So the first item is PlanCon eligibility. As we currently understand it, the original Pagnotti site was of course part of the original feasibility study and therefore remains eligible for PlanCon reimbursement. The others are new sites and not in the original feasibility study. The school district has engaged with the Department of Ed to discuss that further, but our current understanding is that the original Pagnotti is the one that is definitely eligible. Proximity to students, of course, they all offer a campus-like setting that is significantly larger than the prior options that were being considered in the downtown. However, only the original Pagnotti has students that may be able to walk to the school. The others really are not walkable in any way. The site sizes are reiterated there, as Sam had mentioned and as he went through it. The slope, again, Sam mentioned this in his various presentations. 2 of the 4 would result in a tiered site where it would be terraced, building, parking, and fields at separate levels, and 2 of the sites are more flat, relatively flat between them. They all have space for a stadium. They all have space for some additional fields in sort of a master plan concept. That doesn't mean that the district would embark with all of those fields, but from a due diligence standpoint, to examine the site in total and what you could do with it over a long term, from a master plan standpoint, we thought it prudent to identify how many fields could possibly fit there. So then the next group of items have to do with more site-specific items, soils and foundation. Again, reiterating some of the things that Sam talked about earlier. The DCNR site is the only one that's not been undermined in some fashion, and so a nice rock base can be helpful for presenting the building. The other 3 have likely some soil issues that will be triggering some special foundations because of the prior mining history. The two of the four also have a good amount of wetlands on them that would, smaller wetlands which could be mitigated, or larger wetlands which we will have to work around, and we'll talk about that a little bit further. The original Pagnati site has some bottom ash on it that was part of the prior mining activity, that was part of a reclamation project that was done by the Pagnati family, which we'll talk about that a little bit further on another slide as well. Utilities being adjacent, close by on 3 of the 4 sites. As Sam mentioned, the DCNR site is fairly remote from some of the utilities. Earthwork, that is moving earth around to prepare the pads for the site. The costs related to the earthwork for 2 of the 4 sites, the Geisinger and the DCNR site, we anticipate to be a little bit more costly because of the way the sites are currently configured. The DCNR site, the one, as we said, that is mostly rock, while that is an advantage on the one hand, it could be a disadvantage on the other hand in terms of earthwork costs associated with blasting rock. And then lastly, off-site traffic issues that could crop up. The Pagnati site we showed has good access to effectively 2 city or township streets. The others are more remote on more high traffic or high speed roads that will have some additional traffic concerns that could engage PennDOT at a higher level. So I want to touch on a couple of specific items that were from that prior slide. Act 17, the district should be aware, is a specific act from the state that requires that the school district investigate sites for prior mining history, for suitability, before placement of a school. That will trigger soil borings on properties as directed by the Department of Environmental Protection. That would trigger additional costs that would be needed to drill on some sites to understand the soils better, to get DEP to sign off on the site as a possible viable site for a school. The one that is not likely to require borings because of that is the DCNR site, is there's no recorded mining activity beneath that site. PennDOT, I talked about a little bit on the comparative slide. A highway occupancy permit is required from PennDOT if your driveway abuts on a PennDOT road. The Pagnati site has both roads are PennDOT roads, the Mappin Street and Main Street, and so PennDOT will be involved in the HOPs for that driveway, or for those driveways. The other sites don't directly abut PennDOT roads, and so that would fall to the township fathers as to whether or not they would approve the layouts or ask for PennDOT's involvement related to any traffic that could occur sort of downstream of their roads. The ash, specific to the original Pagnati site off of the Cross Valley, as I mentioned, there has been a reclamation project ongoing on that site for a number of years that did end in about 2005, where material was removed from the site, taken to the Pottsville area and reclaimed in a way, and then ash was returned to the site under the guidance of DEP, and it was placed back on the site under a cap of soil, capping off the ash that was returned. And as I said, all of that was reviewed by the Department of Environmental Protection during that entire process. This exists only at the original Pegnex. And lastly, wetlands. Again, we talked about them a little bit throughout the various sites. They fall under both the state and federal. The high-quality wetlands in particular fall under federal guidelines. There are small wetlands likely to be found on all of the sites, and high-quality wetlands cannot be moved. Some that were shown on the DCNR site are high quality based on our research at this point. Some of those larger ones that would not be, we would have to work around them. The district would have to work around them. You would not be allowed to move them around or relocate them. Some of the smaller ones you might be able to move to make your site layout more efficient. All right, so next we'll have a slide that does a similar comparative of the 4 sites from a budgetary standpoint. Same format, the 4 sites are listed across the top of the slide and down the left-hand side of the slide of various categories of costs that have been analyzed throughout this process. So we'll start out first with land acquisition.
As we know from today, the Geisinger site, Geisinger is willing to donate it to the school district. We had received that information a short while ago. Geisinger requested that they be allowed to do their chain of command issues with regard to the corporate structure before that announcement was made. But we were able to confirm that they are willing to donate that property to us. The Pagnotti 2 Kmart site, we don't have an asking price for yet, so that's why there's a question mark. The original Pagnotti site, currently we have a net number of $4 million for that. The asking price is $5 million, but we understand that there is an income stream that goes with the property. There's a current billboard situation where the owner would own the rights to the billboard lease. If the district acquired that, we would be able to obtain the revenue from that lease. And also, there's still tipping fees being paid for the prior placement of the ash. And again, that would transfer to whoever owned the property, so the district would net that out, and the acquisition cost would be approximately $4 million with regard to that site. And I'll let Brian talk a little bit about the Popple BCNR site.
Thank you. In regards to the Popple DCNR site, what we had a situation where when we were initially denied zoning from the Wilkes-Barre Area Zoning Board, Wilkes-Barre City Zoning Board, many people had come out for assistance and helped us. And we had one of the people that we had spoken about already was the Geisinger Health. Geisinger Health had contacted us, and at that point, as you are aware today, they reached out and were able to work with us and truly become a partner in the commitment of the spirit of community and, of course, in education to help us and assist us because they knew we needed a site. On top of that, also, Mark Popple had contacted us where we initially had found out about that original property that Patrick spoke about. And one of the concerns we had was, besides the other issues that he spoke of, was a safety concern of turning up that hill. And we just wasn't a route that I necessarily wanted to go nor the board. So as we continued to move through this progress, what had taken place was Mr. Popple had contacted me again and said that he is aware of another site that is adjacent to his property, which is below his property. And I can't thank him enough for the fact that he reached out to us, made necessary contacts that he had to do within the state and within the process to actually come forward with a proposal. He was able to swap that site. That's why we call it the swap. So what was actually taking place is that original property that Mark Popple had, he was willing to swap that with another property. And what he had, as a private developer that he is, he had offered us a little bit different proposal than the 3 that you're seeing. When you go down to that 3rd line, he said that he would be able to actually complete the site development along with the land for approximately $12 to $14 million. So that's why there's no initial monetary money in the land acquisition, because he provided us with a package. Also though, with that property, we understand that to actually be able to access the Popple swap, the DCNR swap, there is another owner's property that we would have to go through. So whatever fair market value would be for that site, we would have to purchase that site or acquire that site to gain access to the Popple DCNR swap.
So the second line, by far the largest value on the entire sheet, is consistent all the way across. That is the cost of bricks and mortar of the building construction itself. You can see the rationale for that cost shown in the notes column at the far right, $72 to $82 million. Then site construction is to develop the pad for the building and the parking and the access on the property. And they vary from 10 to 14 million depending on the various sites. As Sam mentioned, all of the sites assume a significant parking area in excess of 800 parking spaces that is a big portion of that number. Then off-site construction is, as it sounds, off the property. Costs that the district may incur off the property that they own. And as noted on the right, those are largely due to traffic improvements and/or utility extensions. So we talked about the utility extensions that would be required at DCNR in particular. There is also a big swing in costs for both Geisinger and DCNR. Those two sites are located in fairly close proximity to one another and would be accessed from State Route 115 and also from Jumper Road, both of which are PennDOT roads, but the district's property does not abut either. And so it's a little bit unknown at this point whether or not PennDOT would get involved in traffic or improvements that far removed from the owner's property, from the district's property. The next line, foundations and soil improvements. This has to do, as we said, with the mining history at many of the sites, 3 of the 4 sites, that would require mat slabs, dynamic compaction, or some sort of additional reinforcement to create the pad stability for the building foundation. And there's some real dollars there, with the exception of the DCNR site, which, as we said, is largely rock. Then the soft costs and FF&E are budgeted at 20% of their building construction. FF&E is fixtures, furniture, and equipment. Soft costs are other fees and approvals and legal and things like that. So there's, again, as a 20% number, there's a swing there, a fairly large swing there between 72 and 82 million as you apply that 20%. Then, as we had said earlier about the PlanCon reimbursement, while I'm certain that the school district will continue to work with the Department of Education for the possibility of securing reimbursement of the 3 sites listed to the left, the only one we can be certain about right now, because it was part of the original feasibility study, is the original Pagnotti property. So therefore, when you add up the ranges all together, you can see the margins between each of the 4 and the margins at each individual site. And we tried to highlight the low and the high across the whole sheet, because that's generally what everybody wants to understand anyway. Schedule, we can talk briefly about the schedule. We have a quick summary here of where things stand as we understand it with the school district. Starting at this past January, when the district asked the team to review the sites and analyze them, and ending, frankly, sometime in 2019 with getting a shovel in the ground and getting construction started. You can kind of see the various steps that need to occur within that time frame. And 2019 may seem like it's far off, but it's really not, with the work that needs to be done between now and then, including procuring the site, getting the sites permitted and designed, getting the building design completed and permitted, and then getting out to bid so that contract can be awarded in order to stay on that type of construction schedule. And so that's our last informational slide. So I think at this time,